Welcome to Leadership Devotionals. Today, we will talk about something that we all love to hear, and that is stories. You know, when things are relayed to us when we were small children by our parents, stories that are exciting, stories that have a little suspense, or stories that are heartwarming. We all love to hear stories. And in leadership, stories play a vital role in communication because leadership is communication. If you don't know how to communicate, you are in a great problem as a leader. And so in order to lead effectively, the leader must also be able to communicate effectively. But the more weighty part of communication is not how you do it. It's not how you write the memo. It's not, conducting town hall meetings. It's not conducting family meetings, or it's not just simply, meeting the middle management, and then the middle management will also relay your message to the line and staff. Communication is not as simple as that. The more weighty things in communicating is how you are understood. How you are understood by your audience. Yes, you may deliver it beautifully. Yes, you may use, simple words. But if your audience have already a preconceived idea and yes, they may hear you, but they did not understand what you were communicating, that will be useless. That's why, stories are very important in terms of communication, because once you start to say, I have a story to tell you, you immediately have the ears of the audience. And when you build that story, they also go with you, not only with their ears, but also with their hearts. And so the story is a powerful approach to communication, because in communication, there is no room for ambiguity. There is no room for confusion. And definitely, when you communicate with on your audience, there is no room for double meanings. Yes, leaders may use graphs, leaders may use hard data that will tickle the mind of the audience. Yes, it will be an intellectual presentation. But notice this. When a story is shared, people not only hear with their ears and with their minds, they also hear with their heart and soul. That's the power of a story. Touching the heart of your people, touching the heart of your audience is a big step towards realizing the commitment of your people to what you are communicating. You may be communicating a vision, you may be communicating the mission or goals of your organization, even a new program. If you have touched the heart of your people, that is one big step to earning and getting their commitment. There are three kinds of stories to tell. There are stories of the past and all its glory. And these are beautiful stories to tell. There are also stories of the present. Situations that just simply happen right now. And with all the insights that we can get from it. And there is also stories of the possible future with all its inspiration. Something that we look forward to. Let me share with you a beautiful story. The story of the Israelites when they were on the process of conquering Canaan. That time, their leader was already Joshua. And Joshua was, after Moses has died, Joshua led the children of Israel. And when the children of Israel were conquering one city in Canaan, one after the other, and eventually they were able to get the promised land, the land of Canaan. Joshua called the people of Israel, and this time he wanted them to commit to the God that has made it possible for them to be conquerors in this promised land. In order to get that commitment, Joshua used the power of story. We can read it in the book of Joshua chapter 24. And I want to read this story to you. Joshua chapter 24 verses 2 to 13. Let me read it for you in the New International Version. Joshua said to all the people, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Long ago, your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates River and worship other gods. But I took your father Abraham from the land beyond the Euphrates and led him through Canaan and gave him many descendants. I gave him Isaac, and to Isaac I gave Jacob, and to Jacob and Esau. I assigned the hill country of Seir to Esau, but Jacob and his family went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron, and I afflicted the Egyptians. What I did there, and I brought you out. When I brought your people out of Egypt, you came to the sea, and the Egyptians pursued them with chariots and horsemen as far as the Red Sea. But then they cried to the Lord for help, and He put darkness between you and the Egyptians. He brought the sea over them and covered them. You saw with your own eyes what I did to the Egyptians. Then you lived in the wilderness for a long time. I brought you to the land of the Amorites, who lived east of the Jordan. They fought against you, but I gave them into your hands. I destroyed them from before you, and you took possession of their land. When Balak, son of Zippor, the king of Moab, prepared to fight against the Israelites, he sent for Balaam, son of Beor, to put a curse on you. But I would not listen to Balaam. So he blessed you again and again, and I delivered you out of his hand. Then you crossed the Jordan and came to Jericho. The citizens of Jericho fought against you, as did also the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, but I gave them into your hands. I sent the hornet ahead of you, which drove them out before you. Also the two Amorites king, you did not do it with your own sword and bow. So I gave you a land on which you did not toil, and cities you did not build, and you lived in them, and eat from their vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. And so this was the story that Joshua relayed. It was just a narrative, a story of its past and all its glory, and even up to the present and all its insight. Because Joshua wanted to get the commitment of the Israelites. And so when we read verse 14, this is what Joshua said. Now, children of Israelites, now fear the Lord and serve Him. Okay, this is already a call to action. Fear the Lord and serve Him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods of your ancestors, which worship beyond the Euphrates River and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. In verse 15, this is very important for leaders like you and me. This is where leaders model the moral of the story that we are relating. The life of the leader is very important because your audience will always look up to you. And when they look up to you, they should see the moral of the story that you are relating, they can see it in your life. That's why in verse 15, Joshua said, "But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, and then choose for yourselves, then choose you this day." That's what he said. "Then choose you this day whom you will serve." Choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your ancestors who served beyond the Euphrates, or the gods of the Amorites in whose lands you are living. "But as for me," okay, he's modeling it. "But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." That's a beautiful ending to Joshua's story. It's a call for commitment. It's a call that people will serve and dedicate their lives to the God who had made all of this conquest possible. And Joshua used the power of story. But he did not just only use the power of story. He even modeled the moral of the story in his life and in his household. A leader should always model the morals and lessons from his story. Otherwise, the story will lose its power and effectivity in motivating people towards the organization's visions and goals. Fellow leaders, as you lead today, allow God to create a story in you. That story that will be an inspiration for the people around you, for the people that you serve, for the people that you influence, and for the people that has been entrusted to you as a leader. God bless you today, and I would love to hear your story.